world is embracing more, in general, white wines. And Bordeaux, from what I understand, is nearly 90% red wines. Do you think this will change within the next few years at all, or Bordeaux will be Bordeaux forever?
Well, in French, we say red as Bordeaux, but in English, it's Burgundy red. But I think when I was a child, Bordeaux was producing a lot of white wines. And it was.
When was that?
That was, let's say, in the
100
60s.
years ago.
Yeah, 100 years. Oh, no, over 100 years.
Welcome to another episode of On the Road Edition, hosted by Stevie Kim. Each week, Stevie travels to incredible wine destinations, interviewing some of the Italian wine scene's most interesting personalities, talking about wines, the foods, as well as the incredible travel destinations.
Hello, my name's Stevie Kim, and welcome to the Italian Wine Podcast On the Road Edition. It's not Italian wine, it's Bordeaux. It's going to be all about the Bordeaux this week. And I'm here sitting next to me, Mr. Philippe Casteja. Did I get that correctly?
Casteja.
Oh, Casteja. You know, it sounds different. It's actually French, from what he tells me. And he is the president of Grand Cru Classés 1855. Hello.
Hello, how are you, Stevie? It's
Hi.
good to have you here.
Thank you.
In Pauillac,
Yes.
in the middle of the classified growth that we are going to speak about.
Excellent. So you are the president of the Grand Cru Classés, but what is actually the difference between Union des Grands Crus Classés de Bordeaux and Grand Cru Classés 1855?
Okay, the 1855 Grand Cru Classés, this is the body of the Grand Cru Classés. This is the organization of the classified growth of the 1855 classified growth. You must remember, this classification has been created 170 years ago.
1855.
1855.
Hence.
Under the rule of Napoleon III, who wanted to have the best French products presented for the World Exhibition of Paris. So he asked the major areas of France, Champagne, Burgundy, and Bordeaux, to send their best wines. Everybody did so, but the Bordeaux people, they decided not to send the wines like this. They decided to organize a classification of the wines they were presenting. This is very important because you must remember we are middle of the 19th century. And can you imagine people creating a classification of wines when there was no tap water, when there was no train, no roads, as we know, no cars. So this is very, very modern.
Well, Napoleon, he was a genius.
He was a
Small.
yeah. This is
Short.
this is the nephew. This is the nephew.
Well, it runs in the genes, it seems. But what about the Union des Grands Crus?
And the Union des Grands Crus, is a special body that was created for the promotion and tastings of these wines in France and around the world. Mm-hmm. And this is not one area, one type of wine. It's the major wines of all wine growing areas of Bordeaux. That is to say, Pomerol, Pessac-les-Oignons, Médoc, Saint-Émilion, and so on and so on. By opposition, the 1855 classified growth, there are the Médoc area, plus Aubryon, and the Sauternes area. This is the only areas that were classified.
Okay, so can you repeat that? Médoc, Sauternes, and with the exception of Aubryon. Is that correct? Okay.
Because Aubryon is in the Grave area, but it was the only one that was classified together with the 1855 classification.
So why is 1855 so important, besides the fact that, yes, it has classified the rules of who's important, quote unquote, right?
Yeah.
It's a quality system.
In fact, it's very interesting to see that this classification, which is 170 years old, has almost never changed. And these wines have always been the reference for all wine areas that wanted to show that they are producing good wines. And let's say you're from Italy. Italy is trying to create a classification in Tuscany
Piemonte.
of their best wines.
Yeah.
This means that the idea of this classification today are modern. Also, if you take new markets, for example, if we speak of China, China, when the Chinese population started to drink wine, they needed some references. Of course, they wanted to have Bordeaux wine, and they knew that Deng Xiaoping was drinking Bordeaux wines. And when they are drinking wines, for them, the reference is the 1855 classification.
So now, fast forward to today, I mean, Bordeaux wines are facing some challenging times, right? Well, like all wines in general. So you've been the president forever, from what I understand, right? 24 years.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know how long you're planning to be the president for, but so you've seen a lot of things happen, right? In these 24 years for Bordeaux and Grand Cru Classés. But even for Grand Cru Classés, the top, the crème de la crème, as you guys would say it is facing challenging times. So I know you're not Nostradamus, okay? But what is your vision? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, I think there are numerous challenges. And this is what makes also the things good and interesting. Because if everything was set, if there was no competition, there would be no fun. Mm-hmm. So we have different challenges. One of them is the change of climate, warmer, more water. The second one, which is quite important and which is a world challenge, it's the change in the habits of drinking wine. Countries like France, Italy, and Spain, which are wine-producing countries and culturally, in their culture, wine countries, the consumer nowadays has changed. He doesn't drink wine every day. He is changing from one area to the other. His taste has an evolution. He watches podcasts and all sorts of information.
It's called internet.
Yes. And this means the market has changed. So we must first adapt our wines to the new climate. We have to adapt our wines to the new consumers, to the young people who are drinking different. We have to distribute our product in different ways. We have to make it available through the new channels, e-channels and so on. And all that is very important.
So now, in terms of how many wineries are part of the 1855 system?
85, let's say 61 for reds and 24 for whites, sweet whites.
Okay, first time.
So
So now, world is embracing more, in general, white wines, right? Fresher wines, lighter wines. And Bordeaux, from what I understand, is nearly 90% red wines. Do you think this will change within the next few years at all, or Bordeaux will be Bordeaux forever?
Well, in French, we say red as Bordeaux, but in English, it's Burgundy red. But I think when I was a child, Bordeaux was producing a lot of white wines. And it was,
When was that?
That was, let's say, in the
100
60s.
years ago.
Yeah, 100 years. Oh, no, over 100 years. Thank you very much. Those kids are terrible. Let's say, oh, but you're not that young anyway. You're fishing for compliments. Okay. No, there was a lot of white wines, and the trend has been changing to red wines. We are producing white wines, dry whites, Sauvignon-based, mostly white wines, and Sauvignon and Semillon whites. But of course, the red wines are important because Bordeaux reds have a capacity of aging. And this is very important for the people when they start to drink and to collect high-ranking wines.
So I have $1 million question for you. So you said the consumers, especially the next generation, they're not customarily drinking wines as much as they used to, right? Do you have any answers to that? How do we broach the next generation?
Well, first of all, you know what I meant by the different ways of consuming wines. In the old days here, and Italy and Spain too, wine was the drink. That is to say, water was not very good, and everybody was putting wine in the water to be sure that the water would be okay. And the workers in the fields were drinking cut water with wine. Today, wine is consumed as a pleasure drink. That is to say, the consumer has to have a story, he has to have a taste, he has to understand it. It's a different approach. And we have to explain to the consumer what he's enjoying.
So, B, I think we're going to wrap this up. But before we go, is there anything you would like to tell our audience about 1855?
I think 1855, as I said, is the world scale of wine. We are producing jolly good wines in reds from Saint-Estèphe, Pauillac, Saint-Julien, Margaux, and also in Pessac-les-Oignons. So you have all type of wines. They're a majority based on Cabernet Sauvignon. It is the country, the Médoc is the country of birth of Cabernet Sauvignon. This is where everybody has been coming to get the idea. In the whites, the Sémillon and Sauvignon, to make those superb, sweet wines, which are balanced with an excellent acidity and which makes them also very fresh. So this is certainly an area which is worth visiting by traveling, but also visiting by opening and tasting.
Okay, so
Thank
come
you.
to Bordeaux as much as you can. I think that is the answer. And I'm signing off from Bordeaux. And we are with the president of Grand Cru Classés 1855, Philippe Casteja.
Well done.
Okay. Ciao ragazzi.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of On the Road Edition, hosted by Stevie Kim. Join her again next week for more interesting content on the Italian wine scene. You can also find us at ItalianWinePodcast.com or wherever you get your pods. You can check out our YouTube channel, Mama Jumbo Shrimp, to watch these interviews and the footage captured at each location. Chin chin!